So what is your coaching philosophy?
Well, gosh, I'd say my coaching philosophy would be, really trying to help a kid grow as not only as a player, as a person. Um, it's not just a situation where a kid comes in and you coach them about exactly what they're supposed to do, and then that's it. I think it delves in farther than that. You're developing a relationship with somebody to try to get the most out of them and their abilities. And everybody's different. Obviously, we have to figure out how people learn, how they can overcome any issues they may have, and how they can reach the highest level as possible. And there's a lot of psychology involved with that. There's a lot of really looking into oneself and seeing how they can improve what they do. So I feel like it's the philosophy as a whole would just be really trying to work with a person as an individual and see how you can get the most out of them.
Right.
And that's just different with everybody.
Okay. So what messages do you believe you send about fair play, cheating, and playing by the rules?
Well, at the first tee, one of our core values is honesty, and the other one is integrity. So we stress that to the utmost. Every day you have to wake up, you have to look yourself in the mirror, and if you're a person of high integrity, if you're a person who is honest, and I don't think you'll really reach the highest level you could possibly go to if you don't adhere to those types of things. Sportsmanship is huge to me. How you conduct yourself on and off the golf course or whatever playing field you might be on, so important. I don't care what aspect you end up going into, what field. If you don't have those basic core values, I just don't think you're going to be near as successful. And you probably won't like yourself near as much either.
Okay. What do you think is your coaching style?
I'm pretty laid back. I've had some parents out here describe it as fun, but I'm firm. But very fair. I never believed in berating anybody, yelling at them. I just think that's counterproductive. I'm not a Bobby Knight, that's for sure. I just feel like talking to somebody, and once again going back to the philosophy part of it, getting them to explore about themselves and understand what they need to do to get better. That's kind of the way I go about it. It's a lot of it takes the full buy-in of the kid. If they're trying to make a change, it has to be get them to make it their idea, not because it's something I want them to do, because I think that's the way they should do it. If they buy into it 100% on how they want something to change, and they understand why they're trying to do it, I think the success rate's a lot higher.
Okay. So how do you adapt to players of different ages, maturity levels, and playing ability?
Well, when I first started out as a golf professional, I was only allowed to teach the little kids. I worked at a retirement course up in the mountains of North Carolina, so you're dealing with 5 and 6 year olds, and you're dealing with 60 and 70-year-olds. That's pretty vast. For the youngest kids, I want them to think golf is the coolest sport, and they have so much fun. So I gear everything around them having as much fun as possible. Lots of games, and as they get a little bit older, I try to get it into more of a competitive situation. Kids always want to beat the coach.
Right.
So you develop it that way, and if you can kind of tailor-make the games around that, where the kids are competitive, they're going one-on-one against you, they're going to give you their best shot possible.
Right.
And as you get up into adults, you have to really look at their style of learning. Some people have a very analytical mind, and sometimes you have to shut that off. So the more you have them less is more type thing. The less I speak and the more actions I have them doing, they tend to progress quicker that way. But if I'm talking a little too much and they're trying to process that because they're analyzing everything and trying to implement that into a move, it doesn't work.
Right.
And then you know, you just have to really look at the styles of the way people learn to see. And as they get older, you really have to kind of find out what their goals are. You know, what is your true goal? Where do you ultimately want to be in the game of golf? Because most of these people only play once a week.
Right.
They may hit balls once a week and play once a week. So, you know, what's a realistic goal for them to get to?
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of have to talk to them more about what they ultimately want to get to, where their score, ability, improving a skill a little bit, because let's face it, not everybody's going to be a tour player.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of adjust to the clientele in front of you. Kids, you know, the sky's the limit for them because they have a lot of learning in front of them. And like I said, as long as they're having fun and you're engaging them, putting challenges in front of them that they, you know, like I said, beating the coach is a big deal. And as they progress and then they go out and play against their peers in a competitive situation, they can get better and better from there. But just so much depends on, you know, the goal of the kid, the goal of the adult. But you know, each of them's different. It's really, you know, like I said, it's I like working with kids the most. But even when working with kids, you know, there's such a vast difference between a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old, and an 8-year-old and a 12-year-old.
Right.
You know, a kid who's just coming out for the first time versus a kid who may have a good shot to play in college. So you do have to approach that at different ways.
Okay. And what do you feel is the ideal relationship between player and coach?
From my standpoint as a golf instructor, you know, it's one where you know, there's a definite friend relationship there, because I think you delve so much into what they think, and how they feel and how they process different situations.
Right.
Practicing regular life, you know, at school and stuff, and then, you know, in a competitive situation. So I think you have to really get to know a lot about how a person ticks. So you form more of a bond, I feel, than, you know, maybe if you had a team of 80 players where you had, you know, you do this, and
right.
You know, you go do defense, you do offense. That's but the one-on-one interaction, I feel like you become, you know, a lot closer in that type of setting.
Right.
So, you know, it's, I used to work for a guy, he said, you know, he's like, I'm your boss. So, you know, there are times when, you know, when you're at work, you know, I am your boss. He said, but we're also going to be friends, you know, but you have to understand the difference between the two.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to be their coach, but I'm also going to be their friend. If I got to be tough on them, it's not because I don't like them personally as a friend, but sometimes, you know, if you got to, you know, hey, you know, you're not working as hard as you probably could, or,
yeah.
You know, your grades are slipping. So, you know, until those pick up, you can't come out, or some situations like that. But I think it's definitely a closer relationship because it's more, golf's such an individual sport, so you end up being more one-on-one with in the golf field.
All right. All right. Well, thank you for the interview.
Absolutely.